Here at Bruegel, we have been from the beginning interested in the economies of Asia. Today, I'm here with our visiting fellow, Dr. Xu from China, and we want to discuss the state of the Chinese economy. Now, the Chinese economy has recently made a couple of times the headlines. For once, there has been fear about financial instability, but there has also been a lot of concern about a decline in potential growth of the Chinese economy. The official government line is still that potential growth will remain relatively high at 7% or above, but many independent economists fear that potential growth could be lower. Xu, what is your assessment of the state of the Chinese economy and of potential growth in China?
If we find the history data, we can find in the first decade of new century, China has enjoyed high potential growth rates. The average growth rate is higher above than 10%. But in recent years, it declines remarkably. Until recent quarters, the growth rate has kept lower than 9% for 7 quarters, and also lower than 8% for 5 quarters. It's really a big problem, and some of the foreign investors, they're worried about this. And in China, in the academy, we have two kind of scenarios. One is the pessimistic, and they mostly consider about the aging population. And the results, one of the representative research paper, it reveals that the potential growth rate will decline to 7% for this year. And in 2018, the growth rate will decline to 6%. And even lower later. But for another scenario, they are quite optimistic. They take into account not only the aging population. It means the quantity of labor supply, but they also consider the quality of labor supply. That means the human capital. In recent years, China has invested more and more to build human capital. And in China, for the family, they are also they also pay much attention to the education to their children. So the human capital grows very quickly, especially in the last 5 years.
Well, if we look at how China weathered the economic crisis, there was a lot of public spending on investment, a lot of public investment, and the Chinese economy moved from basically one that was more export-driven to one that was more investment-driven. Now it seems to me the key challenge is to move the growth model from one where investment has been the key driver of growth to one where consumption is the driver of growth. I think there's a lot of problems in actually shifting the production structure and the consumption structure, and the spending structure of an economy from investment to consumption. Don't you think there could be a lot of risks along the road when you move from one to the other? And how would the Chinese government and also the Chinese business best cope with this transition?
I think there are two kinds of different points to analyze the growth rate. The first one is from the supply side, labor and capital and TFP. And from the demand side, just you have mentioned, China is shifted from the export and investment driven to consumption driven. That is also related to the industry structure. In China, the manufacturer sector, they are oversupplied, and but for the service sector, they are short of supply. So the latter, they block the consumption of the service. If we promote the development of the service sector, this kind of demand will be released. So it will be good for the economy to shift to the new model. And this is from the supply side. And from the another side, in the short term, I know you mentioned the risk may be contraction. But in the short term, if we develop the service, we need a lot of investment to the service sector. It will relieve the decline of investment in the manufacturing sector.
So when we want to release growth in the service sector, we have to think which sectors are the most relevant one to really drive growth in the service sector. Do you think the health sector could play such a role? The health sector currently being in a situation where basically a lot of adjustment can still take place, and where a lot of investment is also possible, but also a lot of additional employment is possible?
Yes, a very good question. We should choose which is the most feasible choice. Like the education, it's not a good choice to develop, to expand it, because China is now undergo aging population. In last 5 years, the candidates for entrance examination to universities, the population declined from 10 million to 9 million. So we should find other better choice in the service sector, like the healthcare you have just mentioned, because with the background of aging population, there more and more demand for the healthcare. So the demand is not a problem, but at the same time, the supply is a very serious problem. With lack of nurses, a lack of good of doctors. So I think to develop the healthcare sector is a very good choice.